Well, Happy New Year to all Shrimps fans and welcome along to the latest edition of ShrimpNet. Humble apologies from me for the lack of pod last week. Circumstances beyond, I'll say our control, although it was my control. This week, myself and Joel are joined by the jet-setting go-getter from the board, who's just decided to take his jacket off on camera. It's James from the board, James Wakefield, a regular contributor here, and the voice of reason, we always say. James, welcome along.
Hi, Freeze. Hi, Joel.
And delighted to welcome one of our recent new acquisitions, our loan signings. Yet to make his debut for us yet is Scottish goalkeeper Archie Mair. Thank you for joining us, Archie.
No problem. Hi, guys.
So I've already established that Archie was at Swansea on Saturday. Hopefully, we would get 5 minutes. Didn't happen, but I'll start as we mean to go on. And I missed you. I missed you in the bar by about 2 minutes, James. And I'm sorry I did, because we turned up, we parked in Morrison's, and it was about 20 to 5. So we walked around the ground, and I did walk right around the ground. And the first half a dozen Morecambe fans who I met all stopped me and went, "You're in the know. Why?" And I was like, "What? Have you seen the team?" I went, "No." So everyone was like, "Why?" And I'm like, "Well, it doesn't take a genius to work out that maybe the loanees are all going back and they don't want to get injured." And that it turned out how it was. But I mean, obviously, we did bring on Blocko and we brought Michael Mellon on, and it was very noticeable at the end that Eli King was out there in his tracksuit, sort of waving goodbye. So it's not unexpected, Joel, when you're in this situation. But first of all, the Swansea Cup game. Given the side we had out, I thought we acquitted ourselves pretty well, really. Not much of an attacking threat, but we didn't. I think we did okay, because I think they were quite determined to football us to death.
Yeah, no, I mean, it's funny with the loan players, because I know Jed's come out and said that, there was the overhanging illness that Bloxham and Mellon had, and obviously King apparently had a groin strain the day before. So obviously, I think, but all we can do is really kind of take Jed's word for it, because there's no real reason for him to make stuff up. And at the end of the day, even if he did know it was their last game, you milk them for all they've got. You try and play them as much as possible. But I think really, I kind of think the lineup was probably more prompted by the fact that we went to Notts County a few weeks ago and got tonked 5-0. And we're trying to probably avoid something similar happening against a championship side with people like, Yannick Balassi, Patino, Ryan Yates, he's a very good player. So, I think it was a lot of that. A lot of it was trying to avoid maybe, just to kind of instill some kind of defensive solidity in there, and it worked really, didn't it? I remember, I just thought first half especially, they had a couple of moments, a couple of long shots, a couple of dangerous looking balls in the box, but they didn't really have much of a sniff, to be honest. And it was quite a dull game, which is kind of, I think, what we were.
I think what going to say, we bored them to death.
Yeah, I think we were kind of aiming for that, and we kept them at arm's length. They didn't have really, they weren't going through on goal, and we were having to rely on Adam Smith making any kind of like worldly saves. Although obviously he did make a very good one from a header in the first half, and then it's just a bit of a shame that just at the start of the second half, they've just had that one moment where they've managed to get away. I know there's quite a few shouts for offside. It's kind of hard to tell from the camera angle, isn't it? So, it's hard to say on that one. But despite going that goal down, we've kind of hung in there. We've kept battling away, and I think Jed mentioned it in his interview earlier today. The game plan was very much hang until 60 minutes, and then we're probably okay to give some of our better players a go. Well, some of our better attacking players a go, and go a bit more attacking that last half an hour. So it kind of worked aside from just that little moment where somebody's managed to ghost in at the back post and pop it in the net. But yeah, I think overall we acquitted ourselves really well. I think that last goal at the end is just tiredness when we've kind of thrown a few more bodies forward. Maybe we're not just as sound as we have been all game defensively, and it happens, But I think we've gone there. We've acquitted ourselves well. We've stuck to a game plan. It's not been a million miles away from working the game plan, but bit of championship quality tells in a couple of key moments. And that's how it goes in these cup games sometimes. But end of the day, I think the stuff there that was good, organised, hard to break down. So you got to take the positives from that.
Yeah, I thought the back three worked pretty well. Chris Stokes played pretty well. His distribution was good. Jacob Beddoe had that deflected header that nearly caused Adam Smith to have kittens. But other than that, there was, like you say, there was that one particular header which Adam did well to tip over the bar. But we kept him at bay, James, and I think going in at half time, we never really. Obviously, we had a couple of moments where we put a couple of good corners in, to be fair, but it needed us to nick something at the set pieces like that to give us any chance, really.
Yeah. It's funny on this podcast going after Joel because I very rarely disagree with him. So I almost always end up saying what he said. But I thought the game plan worked really well. I thought Stokes and Threlkel were excellent, given it was they were thrown in at the deep end. There were genuine injuries and genuine sicknesses around the squad. Adam Smith was actually ill the morning of the game, but he played I thought very well, and I thought that goal was offside. So I thought the first half we were excellent. We kept them to one good chance, which much kept out, and then. I thought the goal was offside as well. If you're a Swansea fan, you say, well, we had all the possession, we had all the chances. But if it's 0-0 at 65 minutes, and at that point you're able to bring on those players who can't play 90, but who are your real attacking threat, then who knows? We acquitted ourselves well. That's a championship side, 2 full leagues above us, probably 23, 24 million of budget greater than us. And, they absolutely didn't outplay us. And you've got to put a word in for the 450 or so fans that travelled. They made just a wonderful noise. There wasn't a single person on the Swansea side of things that didn't comment on how fantastic the fans were. And a few of the stewards said that they were some of the best fans they've had in that away end all season as well. So just a massive thanks and a big well done to the fans for keeping that noise going for the full 90 minutes.
That's why my voice is gone.
Well, there were two full renditions of Bring Me Sunshine. You don't often get that. So it was really, really, really good to see that. Good to hear that. Shame to but we exited it with our heads held high.
My only thing, I enjoyed singing it, but there's only me and Glenn singing the correct words to Bring Me Sunshine.
I know, me too. Actually, I was singing the correct words as well, and Charlie didn't care what I said. It's the last line. Come.
It is wrong. It's
bring me fun.
Bring me sunshine, bring me love. And they sing "Bring Me Sunshine." No. Anyway, never mind. But it was that was ground number 77 for me, so which is pretty good. Never been to Vetchfield, so that's first time for Swansea for me. But the stewards were lovely. The setup there was really, really good. It's funny because as we kicked off, a couple of people said it was a completely different 11 from the last Swansea lineup, and that wasn't actually true because they did start with about 4 who started the last game. The keeper and the back, the 3 centre halves were all different, but they had Cooper, Patino, Jerry Yates, Yannick Bolasie, and then by the end of it, they brought on Patterson, Grimes, so they ended up with 7 or 8 who actually ended the last game for them. So it was no real surprise that they did come out on top, but. Actually, that must have been a bit of a baptism of fire for you watching that, thinking, "Crikey, what have I come to here? We're at a League Two club going to a Championship side, and we just played chase ball, but kept him at bay for the first half." You must have been thinking, "Well, I could go in nets here. I'm not that busy."
Yeah, exactly. I thought the boys done really well, to be honest with you, in the first half. It's always going to be difficult going to a Championship side, and obviously they just had their new manager in, so. Boys would be wanting to impress, things like that. But I thought, they dealt with it really well in the first half. Obviously, the goal early in the second half, it's always difficult to recover from when you concede that early in the half. Heads can go down and everything. But even from then on, I thought the boys acquitted themselves really well. And obviously, the result was a shame in the end, but I think the performance was good.
Yeah, and I think, an end to a decent cup run, Joel. We've enjoyed it tremendously. It'd be nice to get a home draw now and again, though, wouldn't it?
I know, yeah. I don't think we've had one since, I think they were saying 2021, weren't they? Which would have been the Newport game a few seasons ago. So, yeah, it's frustrating that we've not had one at home, but at the same time, we've done really, really well to get as far as we've done. It would have made a bit of money for the club, which is positive. It's a bit of a tough time, obviously. with the run we're on at the moment in the league and some of the ownership stuff. But it's good that despite all that, we're still cracking on. We're still doing well in the cup. And I mean, it's weird to be honest because we've done really really well against higher opposition all this season. We drew in 90 minutes against Rotherham in the League Cup at the start of the season. We've beaten 2 League One sides away from home. We've put up a decent fight against a decent Championship side in Swansea. So I think we've shown we've got a bit about us as a squad, and there's definitely things there we can hopefully take into the league.
And speaking of the league, I'll segue into that nicely. It's only the little choice of Mansfield at home. Mansfield won 13, drawn 10, lost 2, scored 44, conceded 20. And obviously you look at their squad and immediately you think, well, Nigel Clough is doing a fantastic job there because he's very, very clever, is Nigel Clough. He did exactly the same at Burton Albion. He doesn't go out and spend. He just waits until players become available who he fancies, who he thinks will fit in the system, and he collects them. And it's taken him a couple of seasons to get there. But I mean, look at the quality of Bailey Cargill and Aidan Flint, the 2 centre halves. Aidan Flint cost Cardiff a lot of money from Bristol City a few years ago, and he's still the right age for this league. Bailey Cargill, obviously Australian international, so there's loads going on there. But Christy Pym in nets, Jordan Bowery, and obviously our very own Reece never quite got to his potential Oates, who's playing brilliantly for them, and they're all really chuffed with him. And people like John Joe O'Toole injured, etc., etc. They got some real quality. And I go back to the start of the season now, one of our first away games, and they were pretty much nailed on, and we were pretty much like a group of strangers on the day, Joel. I'm hoping that even though we've lost 5 low knees, we've got 3 people in. I'm hoping we can put a bit better fight up.
Yeah, I mean, personally, I think that Mansfield have been the best team we've played all season. I thought just the way they completely dominated us. And there are games where we've definitely been massively second best. Notts County recently, I think Notts County we shot ourselves in the foot a lot with how we did track runners in certain moments and things like that. But I thought that was the most humbling performance we've had this season. And it's going to happen. They're a very good side. I mean, you say they're not spending loads. I don't know. I reckon they're probably paying. I know they got him on a free, but I reckon they're probably paying people like Aidan Flint a fair amount in wages. In the same way that Derby always like to say that, oh, look at us, we're not spending any transfer fees. But yeah, I'm sure Dave McGoldrick didn't come cheap, or Conor Horahan. So it's they've got a great side, really, really good. They played a diamond obviously last time. I think they're still playing that diamond. Just the way they kind of control possession that way, it was really good. I do have to say, I thought I feel more safe saying it now he's left for Ross County, but I thought Derek got the tactics absolutely horrifically wrong that day. We played the 3-5-2, which was weird because
we haven't played it before.
Well, I mean, we have under Derek played 3-5-2 quite a lot, but we haven't. I think we played it that season. Also, he's
not with the personnel we had.
No, and also he's used the diamond to counteract the 3-5-2 before. So it was weird what we did. And I just thought the fact that we had 3 centre midfielders and they had 4, they just knocked it around us. They had something ridiculous like 80% possession plus in the first half, and they just created chances for fun. Thought we kind of got a grip in the second half, but then that second goal kills it off really. So I'd like to think we might be able to get it a bit more right this time round, having had a bit of a chance to watch them. It was very early in the season, that first game. So yeah, they've got great quality, but it's at home. Even going back to last season when things were a lot tougher in League One, we're playing some incredible sides there. I'd still back us to do a decent job at home. And obviously, we've played teams like Derby and Ipswich at home, and we ran them pretty close. So yeah, despite it being I'd argue the best team in the league from what I've seen personally, I'd say I don't really diminish our chances too much because we saw how we took on Stockport the other week. So yeah, it's at home. I think we'll have a good go and it'll be a good game.
Eternally positive, I like it. And James is nodding his head in agreement yet again.
Well, I mean, Mansfield are a really good side, and I agree with what you both said. They were as good a team as we played this season. I think they played us so early, and our team had been thrown together as always
Yeah.
at the last minute. That it might have been a tactical misstep, but equally it could just have been that players didn't quite know what each other were going to do yet. Whichever way, they were excellent, and they've been excellent since. And when you've drawn 10 games and you're still second in the league, that's quite impressive, because normally it requires more winning, because they just haven't been losing. But they're a good side, but it's at home. We've got a fearless set of players. We've got quite a few players who have got a point to prove, because they're probably going to be coming into the side and getting starts. There's a couple of new lads coming in as well. Jed's working hard to bring others in this last couple of days as well. So you just don't know. It's a game of football. They will be absolutely the favourites from a bookie's perspective, and that's how we like it at Morecambe, right?
Well, yeah, I must admit, looking at it in playing terms, I'm interested in what you're saying there, because we're in a very, very similar situation to when we played Mansfield in the away game, in the fact that we have got a load of new bodies in the dressing room. Archie's one of them for a start, and obviously we've signed Joe Adams, Gwion Edwards, who's obviously made his debut already. The impact of losing Connolly, King, Mellon and Bloxham can't be underestimated, because they've been 4 really, really good lads. I wish them well in their careers. They've obviously, they've all got big futures, I think. I think they've all proved that. They're all young enough. But any side in this division is going to miss that quality, Joel.
Yeah, I think we've done very well with some of the people we've got. I know obviously Archie, but also Gwion Edwards out wide. I imagine he'll probably be starting on Saturday, and I don't think it's really a downgrade at all going from Tom Bloxham to Gwion Edwards. So I'm not too concerned about out wide. I think we obviously need a bit more depth with Walker going as well. But I think we're all right out there. But obviously in midfield and up front, losing King and Mellon, and obviously Connolly was great at the back. Luckily, we've got Faz, who's more than capable at centre half as well. So that helps mitigate it. But again, we do need a bit more depth and a bit more quality to compete there as well. But it's King and Mellon that I think at the moment seem like the big ones. It is going to be tough to replace them, but it'll be interesting to see how people step up. We've got some quality players in the squad. Like, I think, Jake Taylor, I know he's played in number 10 a fair bit, but I kind of like him. I quite like it when he plays deeper and he can pull a few more strings from there.
As a matter of interest, I thought Jake was fabulous at Swansea. I thought
Yeah.
he had a good 90 minutes in him.
I agree. Actually, I thought, especially in the second half, when we tried to push a bit forwards and he ended up dropping a bit deeper into midfield when we brought more attacking players on, I thought he was really, really good coming a bit deeper and taking the ball. So I wouldn't mind seeing him kind of step into King's role. Donald Love is back, hopefully soon. I know Jed said he's coming back to training on Monday. I think with Joel Senior doing so well at right back, it looks like it could well be midfield that Donald Love steps into, and he's been so good in midfield and this season before his injury. So yeah, we've got a couple of people who can maybe help cover there. I think we'll need more depth, obviously, but it'll be interesting to see how that develops. And then it's the mystical task of finding a number 9 who can score goals that doesn't cost an arm and a leg. Trying to find that unfound gem. It's difficult. I thought Charlie Brown showed a bit in that second half against Harrogate. So, but obviously, we'll probably still need a bit more up top, at the very least, competition. So, we'll just have to see how the next few days pan out, and hopefully, we can get some decent bodies in the door.
I think it's a fair point you make there. It's probably why we had penciled in Greg Strong, who is still doing double doings. He's working for Morecambe Football Club, and he's also started his new role with Derek at up in Scotland. So Greg is still working hard for us, and that's probably one of the reasons that he backed out this morning at 9:30. Said I've got quite a busy day, which I do understand, because he's obviously working hard for us, James. And I'm going to throw this out there. I've had a couple of texts today. I'm not taking this seriously at all, but I thought it's worth mentioning because it tickled me that 2 separate people have texted me saying apparently Cole Stockton's Twitter feed, he's changed his picture and it's him kissing the trophy at Wembley in the Morecambe shirt.
It's been like that for a while, I think.
I know it has. I know it has. But the people have just noticed, and I'm like, So I thought, yeah. But you can see how these conspiracy theories start, can't you? Because I happened to look a couple of weeks ago at Coles while I was away, and it was like that. You're right. So, but a couple of people always change his picture, and I'm like, no, he hasn't. But we'll mention it anyway. But it's a tricky time, James. We do need bodies in. Is it a case of 5 in, 5 out?
Yeah, probably. We're not a team that needs a big squad. We've not got cup competition to contend with, and the hardest time to have a thin squad is that Christmas period when you've got 3 games in 9 days. So we want to stick to the blueprint that served us well over the course of the last few seasons, where everybody in the squad's got a chance, and you've not got players who don't even have a look in. I'll not comment on the Cole thing. There's no massive amount of substance behind that. And actually, from a club perspective, what we want to see is a Morecambe player come in and do well and score 5, 6, 7, 8, 9 goals in the second half of the season. So hopefully that could be around Cammy Smith. But we've got Joe Adams in today. I think our best player so far this season that has actually been JJ McKiernan. It's rare that I say something as right as that, but I actually do. Obviously, at the moment, he's got to come back in. He's a Morecambe player. I want to see the Morecambe players do well and all the loanees mesh in nicely. And just to put something to bed, the loanees went because they did really, really well. They didn't go because of anything that's going on behind the scenes. Instability, ownership nonsense had nothing to do with it. I mean,
it's because they all played bloody brilliantly. That's why.
Yeah, and it's probably been the best crop of loanees that I've seen in a Morecambe squad. And if you're a League Two team that wants to compete on a smaller budget, you absolutely make use of the loan market. Archie and Joe are good examples of that. So 4 of those 5 loanees did such a good job at Morecambe that they've been recalled. And I'd rather have 4 out of 5 loanees do brilliantly and get recalled than have 5 average loanees who don't get recalled.
Yes, you're right. Yeah, I agree.
The benefit of it, right? So I think it is a case of don't be sad that they've gone, but be pleased that they're with us.
And it's Cameron Rooney's gone out on loan to a couple of teams, and he's come back with a little bit more experience. He showed pretty positively in a couple of the Tin Pot Cup games, Joel. So he could probably push for a place as well because he's growing up now.
Yeah, possible. I did like the look of him. I thought he was had quite a lot of flair, not quite creative. Hopefully, those loan spells in the lower leagues have done him well. Obviously, it's a big step up to League Two, but he was playing a League Two side in Barrow that night when he played for us and grabbed the goal. So yeah, there might be a couple of people in the squad. I don't think anybody had any idea about much of an. I don't think many people had much of an idea about Archie Mair before the Wycombe game last season. I don't think many people knew too much about him before. He just kind of came out of nowhere, really. So yeah, I think it's positive, isn't it? I think I think it's definitely looks like our kind of youth academy has been looking a bit stronger in recent kind of times. So hopefully that's something we're able to crack on with.
Just to jump in on that, the fact is that when you go to a Cat 3 academy, it takes a few years for pathways to form and for you to start to produce the players at first team level. And that's what we've seen in the last 2-3 seasons. So there are now players coming through. I know that the link now between first team and academy is much stronger than it's ever been in my 4 years with the club. And that can only be a good thing, because if you want to be a club that's competitive with the scale that we've got, you've got to bring you through, and you've got to develop your players. So that link is strong. And just to whip back to the loanee thing, we take advantage of the same thing that maybe our fans see us suffer from. Archie's done a fantastic job at Gateshead, and Gateshead would have been absolutely gutted to lose Archie. And if you saw the Gateshead squad the week after Archie moved on, they were really struggling. So we don't necessarily always look down. We just look up, and we miss what we haven't got. But it's the same at every point in the pyramid. You take advantage and you lose out to those who are bigger than you and those who are smaller than you.
Yeah, and I think it's our game getting Archie in definitely will be a massive miss at Gateshead. And so and again, a nice segue into let's chat to you now, Archie. I'm reading conflicting reports. What is your consideration of your height?
6'6".
6'6", 6.5.
Well, just under. I think I'm 198 centimeters, so just under that. But
So
I like to say 6'6".
So
I'll round it up.
Was the milkman tall, or did you live in a grow bag, or what?
I'll say a grow bag.
So I obviously started off born in Scotland. You're with Norwich. We have a bit of a nice relationship with Norwich because we managed to borrow Joe Lewis off them, as I'm sure you know, has played many years at the team. He made his Football League debut for us when we first got in League Two in 2007, and he was a fantastic keeper for us, Joe. And he went on. He played so brilliantly well against Peterborough that they paid quite a lot of money for him, which is fair enough. So you never know where it's going to lead. But so obviously you've been out on loan. You did a fantastic job for Notts County. The manager there saw you were good at saving penalties and brought you on for the penalties at Wembley, and you stopped a couple of them. That must have been a fantastic afternoon for you. Talk us through that.
Yeah, it was all right, to be fair. I've had worse. Unbelievable, really, as you say. I think I played a game, I think it must have been a month and a half before that, and I'd saved a penalty. And then in the lead up, obviously, when you go into playoffs, you kind of practice these things in training and that. And I managed to save a couple in training. And I think, he just felt that I was the strongest option if it did go down to penalties. So, it was kind of planned to happen in the semi-final. Thankfully, it didn't get to that. At that point, we managed to score a late winner. And then, on the day of the final, really, I kind of had it in my head it might happen, but you never really think that it's going to go to penalties and everything. So I was pretty chilled throughout. And then when the 90 minutes were up, they kind of just said to me, I'd be ready, because if we're looking like we're going to penalties, then you're going to come on. So I think the whole second half of the extra time, I was just kind of reading the notes that we made, going over everything. And then, he subbed me on, and thankfully I managed to save a couple and not embarrass myself, and it was brilliant,
So did the goalkeeping coach do the prep on who was going to take him and where they were going to put him, that sort of thing? And you were instead of watching the game, you were totting up, thinking, right, well, if I go on, we'll see who takes it and who goes where.
Pretty much, yeah. So we sat down on the Friday, I think it was, the day before we travelled down. Just the goalkeepers. So there was 3 goalkeepers, obviously, and the coach, and we watched their penalties and what we thought they were going to do with them. Basically, we watched all their players, every penalty they'd taken, dating back, from most recent backwards, and we kind of decided amongst us what we thought we were going to do. And part of our training that week, so we did that on the Thursday, and part of our training on the Friday was we got our assistant coach and one of the boys who'd just been recalled, so he wasn't in the squad or anything, to take penalties against us. What we thought they were going to do, basically try imitate their run-ups and things like that. So we did have a fairly good idea, but obviously when it comes to the game and that, you completely forget about everything that you've watched and everything. So we had it on a water bottle and a sheet of paper. So I was just sitting reading the sheet of paper, kind of reminding myself what was going to happen. And then, when the player was trotting up and everything, I'd have a look at my water bottle and work out what I thought they were going to do. And thankfully, we were pretty good with our calculations.
Yeah, you say that again. And so what were the celebrations like after that then?
Yeah, they were really good. We went straight back to the hotel and all our family and everything came. So that was nice. We had the night there on the Saturday night with all our families and everything. And that went on for hours. And then we woke up the next morning, got the bus back to Nottingham, and then we were straight out in Nottingham again, which was brilliant again. Yeah, it was a long couple of days. I was tired after them, but it was really good. So
alcohol was involved then.
Plenty.
So am I right in thinking that you turned up at Swansea and met up with your old manager there, didn't you?
Correct. Yeah. So actually, I seen him in before the game and everything. Said hello and that, obviously, and then just kind of said we'll speak after the game. So I caught up with him, and he's took a couple of coaching staff with him. So I was speaking to them for a while after the game. So it was nice to see them. Obviously, he had the balls, should we say, to put me on in the final and that, and gave me that moment. So it was great to see them again and catch up with him. And we were just speaking about it, obviously, and then the task they have at Swansea. I think they were really looking forward to going in there.
So you must have very fond memories of your time at Notts County, because you played a massive part in getting them back into the Football League.
Yeah, it was the best period I would say I've had so far. I was only there for 5 months, I think 4 or 5 months, I think, but it was really good. You know, the whole time we were kind of neck and neck with Wrexham in the league as well. So it was kind of relentless. Both of us just seemed to be winning every single week, and they just pipped us to the title. So we kind of knew we had to go down the playoff route and everything. And I think if you get asked beforehand, if you know it's a guarantee, then you're always going to choose to win the playoffs. You know, going to Wembley and winning it, it's not something you get to do often, if at all, in your career. So thankfully we managed to do that, and yeah, it was amazing.
And looking at you went to Gateshead, and as we touched on, Gateshead must have been pretty sorry to lose you, but playing in League Two is a great opportunity for you, because obviously Scottish Youth International, Scottish Under-21 International, you want to play as many games as high a level as possible, don't you?
Exactly, yeah. I thoroughly enjoyed my time at Gateshead, and you know, we were going well in the league. We were in the playoffs pretty much the whole time I was there, and we were hoping to be able to push on. You know, we had a really good squad assembled. Unfortunately, a couple months in, our manager and assistant got picked up by MK Dons. You know, kind of a victim of our own success at that point, like you say. And then I think, like you were mentioning, the loan guys that were here at Gateshead have kind of fallen victim to that as well. I think there was 4 of us on loan, and all of us have went back. One of them's gone to MK Dons, and that, you know, so boys are moving up the leagues, and I think it's just kind of the way it works with loan players, especially your parent club like mine, Norwich, and that. If there's an opportunity to jump up a league, then you definitely want to do it. And I was no different, really. I love my time at Gateshead, but when the opportunity comes to play at a higher level or to go to a team, then yeah, you need to take it.
And so how did this come about? Was it Norwich? We got in touch with Norwich, and presumably they said, well, we can call you back, and they give you the choice, and you said, yeah, I'm going to go.
Pretty much, yeah. It happened really quickly, to be honest. I think it was the 29th or the 30th of December. Norwich called me and just said, Morecambe have been in touch, would like you to go and everything. And I pretty much said, yep, straight away. And then I think they just said, play the game on the 1st with Gateshead, and then head straight over after that. So yeah, it happened really quickly. There was no questions about it, really, whether, do I not. It was just a case of, yeah, they want you in that, and okay, let's go.
So what, you've been getting some travelling in, you have, haven't you, Arch? Plumbing heck.
Yeah.
North of Scotland, Norwich, Gateshead, Morecambe, Notts County. I'm like, bloody hell, you've been around. I hope I have a whole mileage car.
yeah, I have. I've seen a few parts of the country and that, but I'm kind of used to it. I think it's part and parcel of being a footballer, really. I think you need to be willing to, especially as a youngster and as a goalkeeper, you know, you're going to go out on loans and things. So I think you need to leave yourself open to it. And I don't mind that at all. You know, you get to see different parts of the country, meet different people. So yeah, I don't mind it at all. This is just a new part of the country for me, and it's just football.
And well done on saying and appear on strange podcasts as well. Well done on not saying that. So I'm going to hand you over to Joel now, who's probably got some far more in-depth questions than me, because I always keep it quite nice. But Joel will have some intelligent questions for you.
Crack on.
Yeah, scrabbling them around quickly, because I had no idea who'd be coming on until your name popped up in the waiting room. I was like, fantastic, right, I need to think of some questions. But I think I guess I'll start with the obvious, really, with the penalties, because I think you talked a bit about preparation, obviously, and all that. But like, obviously that's a big part of penalty saving. But I guess part of it is kind of how you react in the situation. Because I remember, I think one of your penalties, one of the saves, isn't it? It's kind of, you've dived the right way, but it's kind of going over you, and I think you tipped it from your hand onto your toe. Is that right?
Correct. Yeah. Yeah. That was to be honest with you, straight after that happened and everything, the boys were kind of like, "Oh, what a save and everything. How did you manage to get up to that?" And I didn't remember it as that being like that. I just thought it was similar to the first one where I just parried it away. And then I watched it back, and obviously it's just instinct kind of took over. And I managed to kind of readjust my body in a certain way and get behind it. But yeah, at the time, I didn't remember it as being as good as what it was. Really, I just thought it was a pretty run of the mill save, but instinct obviously kicked in, and some habit over the years of reacting to things, and yeah, managed to get to it.
I think being 6'6" helped.
Yeah, you're not wrong. You're not wrong.
To be fair, I don't know. Actually, I'd say it might be a bit of a hindrance trying to recontort yourself when you're that tall.
Yeah.
But I mean, it's funny when you actually talking to players about like kind of big games and stuff like this, because a lot of them do. I always find like a lot of them tend to say like they don't quite remember what happened in the moment when like the adrenaline's going. Is it a bit of a similar thing for yourself there?
Yeah, 100%. I think even the game, I was sitting on the bench and I watched it, but I could not tell you anything really that happened in the game apart from the goals. I think when you're in these moments and kind of caught up in it and everything, you're so tuned in to what you're doing and things like that, that what actually happens and you're thinking about the next thing, you kind of just erase things that have happened from your brain, and just start thinking about the next thing. I think that's possibly the reason why. But yeah, you'd be amazed at the amount of things that you forget and details that you just do not recall at all.
So just kind of generally speaking about penalty saving as well for keepers, because I always think it's really interesting because you've got some like really fantastic, amazing top level keepers who just seem to be pretty meh when it comes to penalties. I think quite a big, obviously, recent example is David De Gea, who was very very good shot stopper, but didn't really save many penalties. And I think it's quite interesting looking at that. I think you look at the keeper we had last season, Connor Ripley. Obviously, he's very good for us in normal time, but also he just had I think he saved about half the penalties he faced last season, which is mad. And he was quite a big personality. So I do often kind of think, and I wonder what your take is on it, is how much of penalty taking is kind of that psychological and almost kind of like having a big personality that you can almost kind of exert yourself on the penalty taker a bit.
I think that's a huge part of it. I think all the pressure really is on the penalty taker to score. So if you can kind of get in their head a little bit, then it's always going to help. The homework makes a huge difference. I think, if you see someone 9 times out of 10 goes to the left, then if you've done your homework on that, you should be going the right way in theory. But I think if you can get in their head a little bit, it can help you even with them missing the target, not striking it correctly and things like that, because all the pressure's on them. So I do think a huge part of it is kind of getting into their head and kind of putting a bit of personality out and putting them off. I think that does help you massively and kind of put the penalty taker off.
So talking about kind of having a bit of a personality when you play, I think a couple of the things that I've read from, like, I think there was a feature you did on the Gateshead website yourself about being quite laid back in possession and having that. So can you tell us a bit about that in your game, but kind of being laid back and being good with the ball?
Yeah, I think to be honest with you, I think it just comes to me naturally. The way I kind of play in that is, I think I just come across laid back. I'm probably not as laid back in my own mind as what I come across. They love to say to Gateshead and that I was kind of the calmest man in the stadium and everything, and it might come across that way, but not always. I'm not always like that in my own head. It just tends to be something. I think I'm quite comfortable with the ball at my feet, so maybe if you're not used to goalkeepers being like that and everything, it can look like that from the outside. So I would say I am fairly laid back and everything for a goalkeeper. You get some that are shouters and screamers and things like that, and I wouldn't say I'm massively like that. I do like to try be kind of calm and things, and try not be too erratic. But yeah, I would just say that it's kind of something that's kind of grown into my game, and it's not really something I try to do or anything like that. It's just kind of the way I come across.
So kind of in terms of like playing with your feet, how much is that something you've kind of worked on over your career? Because I think again, it's another one of those interesting things to see in goalkeepers, in that even the kind of bog standard League Two goalkeepers who maybe at that level 15 and 20 years ago, like it was want it was just long kicking. But now, a lot, they like to take a first touch. They like to kind of almost sometimes act as an extra centre back in possession. So is that something you worked on kind of throughout your years as a youth player?
I think so, yeah, definitely. I think now, if you speak to goalkeepers now compared to maybe if I spoke to Baz when he was coming through and that, it's definitely just changed from coming through youth programs and things like that. You're definitely more involved with the ball at your feet. So when I was coming through and things, I'd be involved in the outfielder drills and possessions and things like that quite a lot. And I enjoyed doing it. So I think it is something that comes natural, but obviously it's just built up over time from doing it repetitively, really, that it kind of gives you the confidence to be able to go and do it on a football pitch. So I would say, yeah, it is just work growing up, really, that makes it come to you. But I think definitely that I've got a bit of natural in me that from when I was younger, like younger, that I would have liked to play outfield as well, and do that kind of bit of it. So yeah,
What position outfield then?
me, I always see myself as a striker, obviously.
Oh, yeah,
Yeah, yeah. I was going to say,
I
Every
know
goal,
we're going
yeah.
to say that.
Everyone's, yeah.
Honestly, Connor Ripley last year, obviously, his dad was Stuart Ripley, who won the Premier League with Blackburn Rovers.
Yeah.
And he fancied himself as a centre forward, and he was playing non-league as a centre forward, and his dad was like, "You're not good enough."
I think every goalkeeper is a frustrated striker.
Yeah, it's there's something about it, and it's funny, Arch, because you come across as actually quite thoughtful, intelligent, and quite sensible. So how come you're a keeper?
I don't know. Must have been something along the way that maybe become a goalkeeper that wasn't very sensible in the decision making.
I mean, I say it in the nicest possible way, but obviously, I'm 60 and I'm still playing walking football. And if somebody says to me, "It's your turn in nets," I'm like, it's what
Yeah,
you've got to have a screw loose.
and yeah, I think when I was younger, obviously, there was the screw loose a bit. My brother, I had an older brother, and he used to always stick me in goal, so I didn't have much of a choice there. But I have just loved it from a young age, diving about and things like that. But yeah, like my parents will say and everything like that. It's the worst position I could have chosen, really. So yeah, there must have been something along the way that was a bit off.
See that I'm pretty sure I've heard quite a few goalkeepers say about that origin story, and it's been the younger brother who always got shoved in
Yeah.
there.
Yeah. I definitely. I think that could be the case. Yeah, you got no choice when you're younger, so it kind of just sticks.
Yeah, it's called bullying, isn't it?
Yeah, exactly.
Sorry, Joel, I interrupted. Carry on.
No worries. I think the kind of main other thing I kind of wanted to ask about really is what are the kind of main things you learn when you kind of go out and learn, and what are the kind of main differences from academy football going to kind of obviously at the moment non-league and now into League Two football?
I think you get different things like styles of play. I went to Notts County and their manager had like quite a unique style of play. Gateshead, they had their own style of play and things like that. But I think the most important thing really is just learning how to win. At academy, like when you're playing in the younger age groups and things like that, of course, like personally and everything, you're always wanting to win, dying to win. But the coaches and that wouldn't really show if you didn't win that it's not the end of the world. But when you're out on loan, in a dressing room full of men and a manager and everything like that, whose job depends on it, you need to just learn how to win games really, and that's the most important thing. At the end of the day, so I would say that's the biggest thing that I've taken from all my loans is each and every manager and everything wants to play a certain way, but at the end of the day, it's just the way they see how they think they're going to win the match, and then you're kind of tasked with going out there and just doing it.
So I guess it's kind of part handling pressure, but also part just kind of working to kind of knowing how to kind of all bunk in on an objective and be playing a certain way. And also, I guess, even when in moments when you're not performing, just finding a way to win, really.
Yeah, exactly. I think you go into dressing rooms and you might not be best mates with someone, or I'm sure most boys always get on and everything like that. But once you step onto the pitch, really, everyone just kind of chips in their own way, and you're kind of all in it together. I think that's like a unique thing about football. Really, is it doesn't really matter how well you get on with someone or know someone. Is when you go out and play football together, you both just want to win as much as each other, and you'll do anything to help them, really. So yeah.
So in terms of just kind of the kind of things like crosses and shot stopping, is there anything that kind of stands out from that kind of aspect of things when you're stepping into the kind of men's game?
I would say crosses is definitely a big thing for a goalkeeper. When I first went on loan to Kingsland, my first game, I think it was against Boardroom Wood, and Matt Reid was there. I'm not sure if you're familiar with him.
Yeah, I know what you mean.
Yeah, we know Matt Reid. Yeah.
The first corner that came in, I think he stuck me in the back of the net. So that's kind of was a rude awakening to it. So I think that is the biggest thing as a young goalkeeper when you're coming up, is dealing with that sort of physicality. Players aren't daft. They'll see, oh, look, here's a young goalkeeper in that. He's new to the men's game. So we'll go stick one on him early and kind of frighten him a little bit. So I think that is a huge thing when you're a young goalkeeper coming in, is dealing with that, and kind of just having the mindset on it that if you miss the first one or whatever, you need to come and get the second one. You can't be scared to kind of go into your shell and not fancy it anymore.
Yeah, I guess it's weird. I mean, obviously, I imagine it's pretty unpleasant going up against Matt Reid in your first game, but at the same time, it's probably in the long run probably for the best.
Yeah, exactly. I would say in the long run, definitely for the best. There's not many I've faced since him. I think that we'd be able to leave one on you as well.
I'd be frightened bumping into Matt Reid in a bloody supermarket on a football field.
Yeah.
So am I reading too much into this, Archie? Or Norwich seem to have a sort of they must have a really good Scottish goalkeeper scout, because obviously you got Brian Gunn, Angus Gunn, yourself. And it's a bloody long way to go, isn't it, from where you're from?
Yeah, it is. It is a very long way. I think, Brian Gunn was one of the first people that messaged me when I first went down, because he was kind of similar to me, went from Aberdeen down there. Obviously, Angus's son was born in Norwich and brought up in Norwich, so it's a bit different for him. But yeah, there's been a couple of us, or a few of us and everything, that have gone down, and there's kind of a link now, yeah. Funnily enough,
Yeah.
I don't know why, but yeah, it just seems to be the way.
Yeah, it seems to work. Well, look,
Yeah.
good luck with your time with us. We hope, obviously, that you and Adam and Stuart are all fighting for the top place and all performing brilliantly every week. If you happen to make your debut against Mansfield on Saturday, I hope it's the quietest debut that you ever have. But I can't see that happening. Although defensively, we've got some pretty good players in front of you. But obviously, if Mansfield play as much beautiful football as Swansea, then you're not going to be that busy, I don't think. But fingers crossed. But thanks for coming on. I'm going to finish off now. James has got you've got an unusual story about goalkeeping, haven't you?
Yeah, it's I've told this one to Joel over a beer before, but it suddenly struck my mind when you were talking about preparing for penalties and doing your homework and everything else. And it was back in the centenary season, and we were doing the interviews for Morecambe's first ever proper analyst. And we got down to the final round. We'd had like 50, got it down to 30, got it down to 10, got it down to 5, down to 2. And we're sitting in like a little section of part of the function room at the Mazuma, interviewing the last 2, and the last one, Harry, he's not a natural interviewee. He would say that happily if he was on here. He was sort of sipping his cup of tea every 5 seconds and appeared quite nervous. But everything that he said was just substantial and meant something. And you could tell by the end of the interview that he nailed it. But there was a clincher at the end of the interview. The end of the main part of the interview was we had Forest Green the following weekend. So Derek had very sensibly said, do some analysis on Forest Green. Tell me how to play Forest Green. So Harry came in and he did all of his analysis, talked about their wing backs, talked about this, that, and the other. And then he said his last bit was, and if they get a penalty, tell the keeper to go left. And Derek said, I always tell my keepers to go right. And Harry said, I know.
Oh, brilliant.
Yeah, good story. I like it.
He got the job.
Yeah. Surprisingly, there you go. So There you have it, sports fans. Joel, have you got anything from the trust? Obviously, it's been. I feel like we're a bit of a fraud, really, because obviously we had so much to talk about, and I don't think we can sort of like go back and talk about Bradford on Boxing Day and Stockport and MK Dons and Harrogate. We've missed out all those games, previewed them all, and then my plane delay meant we haven't discussed it. So please tell me you've got something positive from the trust.
There's not too much to update on at the moment. Obviously, just with it being Christmas, I think everybody's so busy with whatever they've gotten over Christmas. But obviously, come off the back of another successful toy appeal. So again, thank you to everybody donating for that. And yeah, I think we're due a meeting later this month. So yeah, we'll just provide any more updates. But yeah, like you say, obviously with all the Christmas games as well, I know it's kind of tricky to try and do them all in one kind of big swoop, really. But yeah. It was up and down. Good comeback.
Yeah.
Great Jordan Slew goal, and that's all that matters.
Yeah, that's right. And we're still here. So my thanks to James, as usual, an excellent guest. Archie, good luck with your time with us. I hope you enjoy it. I hope you get some fond memories. And I hope you get to come on and save some penalties. Not that we give penalties away, hopefully. You know what I'm saying, Archie, but good luck.
Thank you.
Thanks for joining us. We will return next week. We will be here hopefully every week from now to the end of the season. We may well have another new member of the playing squad on next week. I don't know who yet, but Matt's been very kind in saying we can get everybody on as long as they're happy to talk. And as we've learned from Archie, he's very happy to talk. So thank you for watching or listening to this. This was ShrimpNet number, I don't know, I've lost count. I've been in the Antipodes. I apologise. Thanks for listening. See you next week.